Okay, we're going to spend a little bit of time talking about why your cookie scanner probably isn't that great. Um, there are a couple of problems in this whole arena. The first one is just the general long tail problem around what trackers exist on your website and where they exist. This graph is taken from a real customer. Obviously, it's abstracted, but what you can see here is that basically, the majority of the trackers that are found exist on less than 1% of the URLs, or even 0.5% of the URLs that you can scan. The reason that matters is if your current cookie scanning product is just flipping coins, deciding which URLs to scan, they're not actually scanning the right URLs, and they will always miss important trackers. So that's probably one of the reasons why every morning you wake up and your cookie scanning tool tells you there are new trackers that you've never heard of, literally every single day. The second big problem that happens in this domain is around lineage. So you put one of your vendor's JavaScript tags on your website. This diagram is kind of representative of what actually happens when you put someone's script tag on your page. So this customer puts, let's imagine live person here, right here, this dot. So live person was put on this website. That's great. But they subsequently make additional calls to Clicktail. They call themselves. They call Certona, Channel Intelligence, who then calls Integral Ad Sciences, so on and so forth. And this chain continues. And there's a lot of reasons why that happens. But the crux of it is every single time that live person shows up on the site, they're probably going to call different vendors. This is in no small part due to something called cookie syncing that facilitates the ad ecosystem. And so if your cookie scanner is not smart enough to actually understand this nuanced approach to how vendors get put onto the page, you will literally always see a different set of cookies that are put on your device when you run the scan. So one of the things that we've tried to do over at Ketch is address this problem in two ways. One, we try to have an intelligent sampling algorithm, which at a very high level, first and foremost, will look at all of the possible pages that we could scan. We'll run a deep scan, and what that basically does is it builds a genome, some sort of a DNA, to use an example, representation of your entire web property. Where are all the unique things that exist found? And then use that to basically create cohorts. And what these cohorts represent are all the places where every time we need to take a sample of that cohort to find all the unique things that could exist on that particular set of pages. And then from that cohorting, we're constantly scanning and finding all of the unique nuances of each specific cohort. And then, of course, recompiling the cohorts every single time we run a scan. Doing this allows us to not need to scan 30 million pages every time we kick off a scan, right? Some vendors will say, you have a max of 10,000. 10,000 is probably enough if you pick the right set. But if you have no clue what the right set is, 10,000 is woefully insufficient. And that's kind of why we do this cohorting thing. The second thing that we do, which I think is important, is we compile lineage, right? So that every single tracker that gets set on your website, we understand the provenance and how that happened. And then you can make a determination as to whether or not trackers that were set through secondary or tertiary transactions, whether or not they need to be disclosed at all. This is what we think of when we try to approach the scanning problem with a little bit more rigor.